She spent her last dollar on flour to bake cookies for the restaurant's Christmas party, hoping it would prove she belonged among them. The head chef threw them in the trash while the staff laughed, calling her pathetic for trying to fit into their world. But when the silent man in the corner booth stood up and reached for one broken cookie on the floor, the room went completely still. What he said next would expose a secret that had been hidden for 20 years. Have you ever been humiliated for trying your best, only to discover someone saw your worth all along? This is where everything truly began. Maya's hands were shaking as she placed the tin of cookies on the staff break room table, but not from cold. She was terrified. The other servers at Astoria, the most exclusive rooftop restaurant in the city, had made it clear from her first day that she didn't belong here. She was 23, from the poor side of town, and she'd only gotten this job because her late mother had once worked in the kitchen 15 years ago. The manager had hired her out of pity, and everyone knew it. The Christmas party was tonight, after closing. All the staff were supposed to bring something. Maya had watched the sous chef arrive with champagne truffles from a French chocolatier. The sommelier brought caviar. Even the dishwasher, who came from money, had ordered an expensive cheese platter. Maya had $12 in her bank account and payday was 4 days away. She'd spent her last 10 on flour, sugar, butter, and chocolate chips. She'd stayed up all night baking in her tiny apartment kitchen, decorated each cookie by hand, and wrapped them in tissue paper she'd saved from a gift months ago. She knew they were just simple cookies. But they were made with everything she had. "Oh my God, what is that?" The voice cut through the room like ice. It was Vanessa, the head server, beautiful and cruel, daughter of a restaurant mogul. She walked over to the tin and opened it. Her face twisted with disgust. Maya felt her stomach drop. "They're Christmas cookies. I made them myself." Vanessa picked one up between 2 fingers like it was contaminated. "You brought homemade cookies? To Astoria?" She started laughing. The other servers gathered around, and the laughter spread like poison. Maya wanted to disappear. She felt her face burning with shame. I thought it would be nice." "Nice?" Vanessa dropped the cookie back in the tin. "Sweetie, we're not at a school bake sale. This is embarrassing." She called over to the kitchen. "Chef Renaud, come see this." Chef Renaud emerged from the kitchen, tall and intimidating in his white coat. He was a Michelin-trained chef, known for his refined palate and sharp temper. He looked at the tin with cold eyes. "What is this doing here?" he asked. "Maya brought homemade cookies," Vanessa said, her voice dripping with mock sweetness. "For the party." Chef Renaud picked up a cookie and examined it. Maya held her breath. For a moment, she thought maybe he'd be kind. Maybe he'd see the effort. He dropped it back in the tin. "This is insulting. We serve $500 tasting menus to royalty and celebrities. And you bring gas station quality cookies." He picked up the entire tin and walked to the trash can. Maya watched in horror as he dumped every single cookie into the garbage. "If you want to work here, you need to understand what Astoria represents. This isn't your mother's kitchen." The mention of her mother felt like a slap. Maya felt tears pressing hot behind her eyes, but she refused to cry. Not in front of them. The room was completely silent now, everyone staring at her with either pity or satisfaction. "I'm sorry," Maya whispered. "I didn't mean to offend anyone." "Just stick to taking orders," Vanessa said. "That's all you're really good for anyway." Maya walked out of the break room, her whole body trembling with humiliation. She went to the bathroom and locked herself in a stall, finally letting the tears come. She tried so hard. She'd wanted so badly to be accepted, to prove she could belong in their world. Instead, she'd just given them another reason to look down on her. She couldn't quit. She needed this job. The money was better than anywhere else she could work, and she was sending half of every paycheck to her younger brother's college fund. She had to endure this. When she composed herself and returned to the floor, the dinner service had begun. The restaurant was decorated beautifully for Christmas, with gold and crystal ornaments, white roses on every table, and soft piano music floating through the air. The guests were dressed in designer clothes, dripping with jewelry, speaking in low-cultured voices. Maya moved between the tables like a ghost, invisible except when needed. There was one table that caught her attention. Corner booth, table 15. A single man sat there, maybe mid-40s, wearing an expensive but understated suit. He had silver at his temples and kind eyes. He'd ordered the tasting menu but spent most of the meal looking out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the city lights below. He seemed sad or maybe just tired. He hadn't spoken much beyond please and thank you, and he'd left most of his food untouched despite it being a $1,000 meal. Maya refilled his water and noticed a photograph on the table beside his wine glass. She shouldn't have looked, but she saw it anyway. A woman and a young girl, both smiling. The woman had kind eyes. The girl looked about 7. When Maya brought the check, the man looked up at her for the first time really seeing her. "You've been crying," he said quietly. Maya froze. "I'm fine, sir. I apologize if I..." "Don't apologize." His voice was gentle. "Rough night." She didn't know why she answered honestly. Maybe because he'd actually noticed. "I made Christmas cookies for the staff party. They threw them away." She felt stupid saying it out loud. It sounded so small. The man's expression changed. Something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe, or pain. "What kind of cookies?" "Just chocolate chip. With red and green sprinkles. Nothing fancy." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "My daughter used to make cookies like that. Same kind. Every Christmas." He touched the photograph. "She died 3 years ago. Car accident. She was 8. Maya's heart broke. "I'm so sorry." Her mother died when she was 4. Cancer. So it was just us for those years. His voice was steady but full of grief. "She'd make cookies every Christmas Eve. We'd stay up late, make a mess of the kitchen, eat half the dough. They were never perfect, but they were made with love." He looked up at Maya. "That's worth more than anything in this restaurant." Maya didn't know what to say. The moment felt sacred, like something too precious to touch with words. The man stood up and left cash on the table, far more than the bill. "Don't let them make you feel small," he said. "The people who mock kindness are usually the ones who've forgotten how to give it." He walked toward the exit, but paused near the break room. The staff party had started, loud laughter and music spilling out. Maya watched as he stepped inside. She followed, curious and concerned. The man walked directly to the trash can. Everyone stopped talking. Chef Renaud stepped forward. "Sir, can I help you with something? This is a staff area." The man reached into the trash and pulled out one of Maya's cookies. It was broken and covered in coffee grounds. He brushed it off carefully, and before anyone could speak, he took a bite. The room was frozen. Vanessa looked horrified. Chef Renaud looked confused. Maya couldn't breathe. The man chewed slowly, and tears began running down his face. "My daughter's cookies tasted exactly like this," he said, his voice breaking. "Exactly like this." He turned to look at the staff, his expression no longer sad but fierce. "My name is James Whitmore. I own this building. I own this restaurant. I own the entire chain." He looked at Chef Renaud. "And you're fired." The silence in the break room was deafening. Maya felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. James Whitmore. She'd heard that name. He was one of the wealthiest men in the country, a billionaire who owned luxury properties across the world. And he'd been sitting alone in the corner booth of his own restaurant, grieving his daughter. Chef Renaud's face had gone white. "Mr. Whitmore, I didn't know you were. You didn't know I was here, so you thought it was acceptable to humiliate someone for an act of kindness?" James's voice was cold now, all the gentleness gone. "You threw away cookies that someone made by hand, with their own money with care, because they weren't expensive enough for your standards?" "Sir, I maintain a certain level of excellence in this establishment." "Excellence?" James's laugh was bitter. "You've confused excellence with cruelty. You've mistaken price for value." He looked around the room at all the servers and kitchen staff who'd laughed at Maya. "My daughter used to tell me that the best things in life can't be bought. She was 8 years old and she understood something you've all forgotten." Vanessa tried to speak. "Mr. Whitmore, we were just trying to maintain the restaurant's image." "By destroying someone's dignity?" James turned to Maya. "What's your name?" "Maya Torres, sir." Her voice came out as a whisper. Maya made these cookies with the last money she had. She stayed up all night baking them. She did it because she wanted to bring something to share, to be part of the team, and you repaid that generosity with mockery. He looked back at Chef Renaud. "Clear out your office. Security will escort you out." Chef Renaud opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked at Maya with pure hatred before walking out. The room remained frozen. James carefully placed the broken cookie on the table. "I come to this restaurant every year on the anniversary of my daughter's death. December 20th. I sit in that booth because it was her favorite spot. She loved watching the city lights. And every year, I hope to feel close to her again, even for a moment." His voice softened. "Tonight, for the first time in 3 years, I did, because of a simple chocolate chip cookie made with care." Maya felt tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know, sir. I'm so sorry for your loss." "Don't apologize for being kind, Maya. Don't ever apologize for that." He looked around the room one more time. "This party is over. Everyone go home. Tomorrow morning, we're having a staff meeting. Things are going to change around here." The staff scattered quickly, avoiding eye contact with Maya or James. Vanessa shot Maya a look of pure venom before leaving. Within minutes, the break room was empty except for Maya and James. James sat down heavily in one of the chairs. He suddenly looked exhausted. "I'm sorry you had to experience that. This restaurant was supposed to honor my late wife's memory. She was a chef, believed that food was about bringing people together, about love and connection. Somewhere along the way, I let it become something else. Something cold." Maya sat down across from him, still trembling. "Your daughter, what was her name?" "Emma." His smile was sad and beautiful. She was everything bright in the world. Curious, kind, always making things for people. Drawings, friendship bracelets, cookies. She believed everyone deserved something special. He looked at the broken cookie. "After she died, I threw myself into work. Built more restaurants, more hotels, more everything. Trying to outrun the grief. But you can't outrun it. It finds you in quiet moments." "My mom died when I was 18, Maya said quietly. "She worked in the kitchen here, actually, 15 years ago. She always told me that the best meals were made with love, not just skill. She said you could taste the difference." James looked up sharply. "Your mother worked here? What was her name?" "Rosa Torres. She was a prep cook." Recognition flooded James's face. "Rosa. I remember her. She used to sneak my wife extra ingredients when she was developing recipes. They were friends." He shook his head in amazement. "My wife talked about Rosa all the time. Said she had magic hands, could make anything taste like home." Maya's heart squeezed. She'd been so young when her mother worked here. She'd only been here a few times, picking her mother up after school. "I didn't know they were close. Very close. When my wife got sick, Rosa visited her in the hospital. Brought her homemade soup, sat with her." James's eyes were distant. "I should have done more for your mother after my wife passed. I was drowning in grief and the business. I lost track of people. Mom never expected anything. She just loved working here. She said it was the most beautiful place she'd ever seen." Maya looked around the break room, seeing it through her mother's eyes. "When she died, I dropped out of college to take care of my little brother. I've been working restaurant jobs ever since. When the manager here offered me a position because of Mom's history, I thought maybe I could honor her memory, but I felt out of place every single day." James was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You don't belong here because this place isn't worthy of you. Not as it is now." He stood up. "But it's going to change. Starting tomorrow." The next morning, Maya arrived at work terrified. She didn't know what to expect. The staff meeting was called for 9 a.m. before the restaurant opened. Everyone was there, sitting in uncomfortable silence. James Whitmore stood at the front of the room with the general manager beside him. "I've made several decisions," James began. "First, this restaurant will no longer operate with the culture it has cultivated. Excellence in food and service does not require cruelty or elitism. Anyone who cannot treat every person with dignity, from the dishwasher to the guest, will be replaced. Second, Maya Torres will be promoted to assistant manager, overseeing staff culture and training. The room erupted in whispers. Vanessa stood up. You can't be serious. She's been here 3 months. I'm completely serious. Maya understands what this place should be because she learned it from her mother, who was friends with my late wife. She knows that hospitality is about making people feel valued. James looked directly at Vanessa. You have a choice. You can stay and learn, or you can leave. But the mockery stops today. Vanessa grabbed her bag and walked out. 2 other servers followed her. Maya watched them go, feeling both vindicated and sad. After the meeting, James asked Maya to stay. I know this is a lot of responsibility suddenly. You can say no. But I think you have something this place desperately needs. Heart. Maya thought about her mother, about working multiple jobs to support her brother, about the cookies she'd made with her last dollars. I'll do it, she said. But on one condition. Every Christmas, we host a staff party where everyone brings something homemade. No matter what it is. We celebrate the effort and the heart behind it. James smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him. Deal. And I'll bring my daughter's recipe. We'll make them together. Over the following months, Maya transformed the culture at Astoria. She trained new staff members on treating each other with respect. She implemented policies against bullying and elitism. The restaurant didn't lose its excellence, but it gained warmth. Guests noticed the change. Reviews mentioned not just the incredible food but the genuine hospitality. James came by often, no longer sitting alone in the corner booth. He sat at the bar, talking with staff, remembering what his wife had envisioned. He and Maya developed a friendship built on shared loss and hope. She told him about her brother's progress in college. He told her about Emma's love of painting and her terrible jokes. On the first Christmas after Maya's promotion, the staff party was different. Everyone brought something homemade. The food wasn't fancy, but it was real. There was laughter and warmth. James and Maya baked chocolate chip cookies together in the restaurant kitchen, using Emma's recipe. They weren't perfect, but they were made with love. As Maya watched her coworkers actually enjoying each other's company, sharing food and stories, she thought about that horrible night when her cookies had been thrown in the trash. She thought about how close she'd come to quitting, to giving up. And she thought about James finding one broken cookie and tasting his daughter's memory in it. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes. Not because they're rewarded with jobs or money or dramatic reversals of fortune, but because they remind us what it means to be human. To give what we can, even when it's not much. To see value where others see weakness. Maya never became wealthy. She made a decent salary as assistant manager, enough to finish putting her brother through college and save a little. James didn't offer her a fortune or a miraculous inheritance, but he gave her something more important: respect, friendship, and the opportunity to honor her mother's legacy by making the restaurant a place where kindness mattered as much as excellence. The cookies in the trash had changed everything, not because they were special, but because someone who understood loss and love had recognized them for what they truly were: a gift. Some moments are so small they seem like nothing until someone sees them for what they really are. A simple cookie, a kind gesture, a heart trying its best against impossible odds. The extraordinary isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet, made in a tiny kitchen at midnight, wrapped in saved tissue paper. Sometimes it tastes like chocolate chips and home. And sometimes, when you least expect it, someone recognizes the value of what you've given, and everything shifts just enough to let the light in. If you love this story, explore more journeys of unexpected connections and hidden worth on our channel. Have you ever had someone see your worth when everyone else overlooked you? If this story touched you, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that remind us what really matters. Thanks for loving Reddit Storyteller.